Band steering is the process of encouraging clients to use one frequency band over another. In today's wireless LAN environment, this boils down to encouraging clients to use the 5 gigahertz band instead of the more congested 2.4 gigahertz band. Almost every client is better off going to 5 gigahertz because it gets to use a channel with fewer competing clients, with wider spacing between access points on the same frequency, and fewer sources of interference, such as cordless phones, microwave ovens, and Bluetooth devices. The clients on 2.4 are also better off because they have fewer clients to contend with for everyone that leaves their channel. Ruckus's band steering works by selectively withholding responses to the client's probe requests and authentication requests in the 2.4 gigahertz band, encouraging it to use the 5 gigahertz band instead. Now, we need to know ahead of time that the client is a dual band client and that it's at a location where it can support the 5 gigahertz link. We do this by keeping a record of every client that we've heard in each band and its recent signal strength. Now, for instance, when a client sends out an authentication request, our AP checks the table, sees whether it's a dual band client. If it is, it will look at the recent signal strength. If the recent signal strength lets it determine that that client could just as well be a 5 gigahertz client, then the access point withholds the 2.4 gigahertz authentication request, which is a prerequisite to continuing on to association. The client will then attempt a few more times the same message exchange, and then after that, it goes to the next channel on its list. When it gets to the 5 gigahertz channel, we respond. Then it can continue, the client that is, can continue on to association, and we've got them on 5 gigahertz. It would be very convenient if an access point had a command that it could send to the dual band client, telling it to use 5 gigahertz instead of 2.4 gigahertz. Unfortunately, no such command exists. The 802.11 protocol puts most of the decision-making power in the client. Luckily, however, we can make clever use of the 802.11 message protocol to get the same effect as the command. Band steering is enabled by default for every SSID where the same name appears in both bands. It can also be enabled or disabled at the command line, and the threshold can be set, the signal strength threshold, which the AP uses to determine whether or not the client could just as well go to the 5 gigahertz band instead of using the 2.4 gigahertz band.